Welcome Recovery Warrior family, Jay Rizzo back with another one. Hey, if you haven't checked out my last video, go check it out. New merch drop, check it out. You guys can hit me up on Facebook. If you're not my friend on Facebook, it's the same format, Recovery Warrior. Don't forget that little dash. But yeah, another great episode we have coming on today. I asked my brother Pat to be on. He's going to tell it how it is. So listen up, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Go ahead, Pat.
Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Tapio. I come from the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe in Eagle Butte, South Dakota. I just recently celebrated my 7th year in recovery.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
That's what's up.
Just a few days ago, to be exact, March 31st, 2019 was the day that changed my life forever.
Yeah. What happened?
So I had from medical history, what they told me, it was well, I was actively, an alcoholic.
So you're a big boozer, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yep, drank a lot, and it just tried to numb my pain that I was going throughout, from my high school all the way up to my adult years.
Yeah.
And I just kept that party life, but that morning of the 31st, well, that night I was out drinking and partying all night, and then I think I ended the morning around 3 or 4 a.m. and then I went home to my mother's and crashed out, and I was supposed to come back up here to sleep it off and get ready for the work week.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up waking up and I started having like really bad chest pains, and I couldn't breathe, and I just felt nauseous, and I just felt really really like I was hungover at first was what I thought. And then so I went and tried to do my what would you call it, my remedies when I'd be hanging over, grab some
cure?
some Powerade and water and all this stuff, and take a shower or whatever, and then I couldn't hold down anything. I couldn't breathe. So I figured I'd lay down. I was hot, I was sweating, I was just sweating crazy. And then so I laid down in front of a fan, and for a second there I was like, well, nothing, this doesn't seem right. And I'm not that kind of person. I kind of like suffer in silence pretty much. Yeah. So after a few minutes of laying there, I said, well, I need to go to the hospital. And so I had my mother. I said, Mother, I need you to take me to the hospital. And she's like, okay. And I was sick and I didn't know what was going on. I went there, and they're like, oh, you're just, when they started doing my vitals and stuff before they got me into the ER, they started doing my vitals, like, oh, it's probably just, you're probably really hungover and it's probably anxiety. And I was like, okay. I was like, but I can barely breathe. So they ended up taking me into the room right away because I was experiencing chest pain, shortness of breath, and lightheadedness and all of the above. And then they threw me in there, and they started taking my vitals and doing blood work and everything. And then everybody starts rushing around, like 3 doctors and a bunch of nurses. I'm like, oh wow. And the look on their faces of them being, unsure of what's going on, or if this is really happening, kind of look on their faces of uncertainty, it looked. Yeah. And the doctor finally came in, they did x-rays, and they started doing all the doctor stuff on me, and then finally they told me, Mr. Tapio, you're having a massive heart attack. And I was like, crap. Yeah, I was like, what? I just turned 30, 3 months prior, and I'm like, what? I'm only 30 years old, like, what's going on? So, they asked me a bunch of questions, asked if I did hard drugs, cause they, assuming like, I was kind of big, I was a bigger version of me back then, So then they asked if I was using hard drugs. I said, no, I'm just an alcoholic. Yeah. But, alcohol is a drug, and I was like, fine. I was like, well, maybe it's the alcohol, and I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes, like a chimney too. So they ended up, calling everybody, and then getting some doctors on the camera, and I was sitting there talking and doing everything. Then they flew me out, and whenever they're getting ready to me and they're wrapping me up, and getting ready to fly me out to Rapid City, South Dakota, and it was then I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I was like, everybody, everybody's concerned. I didn't know, my family already knew. Everybody was waiting outside to see me. And so, that when I was they're getting ready to wrap me up, you have to, when you get flown out, I know hopefully no one experiences it in their life, but when you get flown out, they have to wrap you up in this like little thing, make sure you don't move and stuff. So
Like
they're
ratchet straps? Or
yeah, like a big old, like, just wrap you up. Like they lay it out and you get on this little thing and then they just wrap you up and get you ready.
Yeah.
And so after that, before they're getting ready to tie up my top part, all my family comes into the ER room and starts, giving me hugs. So I don't know what it was at that time. At first I was scared and worried and not knowing what to do and seeing everybody's faces and my loved ones that were in there at the time, my siblings and my mother. I was like, man, I don't, this doesn't, this is, surreal, this is happening, but I don't, might not, this might be my last time seeing my family.
Were you kind of in shock, you think?
Yeah, but it was like a calm shock for some reason. It wasn't like freaking out or whatever. It's like, well, I need to give them hugs and tell them I love them and let them know that I'm gonna be okay.
Almost like you're accepting it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I started giving them hugs and telling them I love them, and my cousins and a whole bunch of family was there. And I told them I'll be all right. And then my sister Jeannie, she's like, well, what's your pin to your phone? Because I just left everything with them, my wallet, everything. And I was like, well, here's my pin. I was like, don't tell the mother of my kids, because she had my girls at the time of this incident, or I should say medical emergency, not incident, but it's like, I'll be fine, I'll be okay, but knowing, I didn't want to worry my kids or the mother of my kids, so I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'll be fine. I'll be fine, but don't tell anybody yet. Don't let anybody know. And so they flew me out, they got me into the OR room right away, they worked on me, and then they told me that my heart was pretty banged up and that I had a bunch of clots in it.
Damn.
And so they went in, they removed some that they could and ballooned some of my arteries, and they pretty much just gave me a ton of blood thinners to like thin it down and try to dissolve some of the remaining clots.
All this at 30 years old?
Yes. So, and being under the influence of alcohol still and all that too, I was like, man, I was like, oh, thirsty, and after all of that, it's like, well, you can't drink any water for 3-4 days. We have to make sure that you're not retaining water, and all this stuff. So I couldn't eat or drink. But also, after the fact, I was like, all right, well, while I was on the OR table, I was up, I had to be up. So they went through an artery through my arm, and they went and they started, grabbing stuff and ballooning arteries and stuff.
Is that what they call a stint?
Yeah, or no, not a stint.
No, a stint's different.
Yeah, it's a little piece that, like, if you have if your arteries are clogged, they'll put a stint in to kind of help your arteries stay open. Mine, they said they were clean, which, they were surprised. Everything was clean inside, but I just had a bunch of clotting in it. Yeah. So that's why they were doing, they tested me for any type of drugs, all types of drugs, because it could have been drug induced, they said. Yeah. But that came back clear, and then finally they narrowed it down, or they think it was from deep vein thrombosis from veins in my legs being weird or something, but I don't know how accurate that is. Yeah. Because I don't have pain in my legs or nothing prior to when I was younger, but
let me ask you, how big were you?
I was like 270, 280 maybe, almost pushing 300 pounds. So I was really stressed out. I was in a high stressed work situation. I was a correctional officer back home, so you've seen and dealt with a lot of stuff.
High stress.
Yes, high stress situations, and our I don't know, back then, I don't know if it is now, but back then the correctional officer positions back home, they're, a lot of people can't handle that that high stress situation, work aspect, so a lot of them, they quit. Yeah. And so I think with my personal stuff going on in my life, stress and all that, plus the high stress at work, and then I probably led to me drinking more. Yeah. To like numb myself, because you can't tell anybody. It's conflict, confidentiality, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the stuff you see and do there, you kind of got to keep it to yourself and locked in. And now that doing all of these programs and going to these trainings, living in sobriety, knowing about peer support. Yeah. And that, I think every workplace needs a peer support specialist, no matter where it's at. Because, they could sit there, you have someone to talk to, and, I have background in corrections, so I could, talk to correctional officers, like, hey, I know you see the bad stuff back there, or have to treat, you know, really bad wounds that look like, you know, these guys are walking dead, you know, or whatever it may be. And you know, some people, you know, they have, you know, they could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some other people, it kind of just eats away at them for a while, you know. And
so now you mentioned peer support. That's you've actually been through the training recently, or have you done it?
yes, I've done it. Shout out to Res Recovery and also the Standing Rock Treatment Center. Excuse me, Standing Rock Treatment Center.
Yeah.
They held a peer support specialist training down in Grand River Casino earlier this year. I believe it was back in January.
Where's
June
that
or
at?
July. Down by Mobridge.
Okay.
And Mobridge, South Dakota, right outside of Mobridge, South Dakota, northwest of Mobridge, South Dakota.
Yeah.
And there's a big group down there, and it was really good training. It was all about lived experience, about, you know, recovery and people wanting to help their communities, which I thought was just going down. Me and my buddy Callan, who works with me.
Yeah.
We thought we were going down there just to help talk to people and let them know, you know, it's okay if you're, you know, using or whatever. But hey, let's try to find better
Let's try
ways.
a different approach.
Yeah, let's try to find better, you know, positive things to do besides using alcohol or drugs to kind of, you know, try to reset yourself. Let's do something positive. And so we did that. It was a full week of training, and it was amazing. Met a lot of great people that live here on Standing Rock as well. Yeah. And also Bo and I can't remember the other woman's name up from MHA. Tika, or yeah. Talia or Tequila or something. Yeah, it's with the
Tequila.
Yeah.
No.
She runs the door up in.
Oh yeah. Tila.
Tila, yeah, there you go.
Tila, yeah.
Yeah, she runs the door up in MHA, and she's amazing. Bo came down too. And,
shout out to Bo. I know who Bo is. Yeah. With cool guy, yeah.
And they came down, taught it along with Margot and Jana from here in Standing Rock. Yeah. And it was a really great experience. And when finally we got the gist of what we were doing, it was everybody with lived experience with, you know, drugs and alcohol and depression and anxiety and everything. And we're all just getting together and finding out ways to help our people here, you know, not only on the reservation, but, you know, anywhere when we come into contact with people that are in need. Yeah. And it was a great experience to go through that, because when at the time of like my heart event, I felt that I was a few 6% out of 100% lived to tell the story of having a heart event such as I did back then. Yeah. Hopefully it's increased more. Because, you know, with technology and the breakthroughs with healthcare and stuff. Yeah. But they live to tell. So it's kind of like there's not a lot of people that can kind of connect with you on that level of what you experienced. And I could not, like everybody was telling me, and my support system was there. I loved everyone, all my families, my closest friends, and, you know, and random strangers, you know, hey, you're a warrior, you know, you're gonna make it, you're gonna be fine. And the inside I was like, yes, thank you. You know, I was feeling it, but then on the inside of me, I was like, well, you don't know what I'm going through. Everywhere I go and every appointment I go to, you're telling me to get my affairs in line. You know, like, man, I was like, man, I got 2 girls that depend on me. You know, I can't. Death got to wait, but death doesn't wait for nobody. So. It was an experience. And then, so like I said, the peer support really gave me an insight of not only of, you know, the active alcohol person, you know, or you know, also a person that's dealing with chronic sicknesses. So I got that background on me as well. So it really kind of brought peace to me, knowing that there's other people out there that have the same issues that probably don't speak on it too much, because, you know, you could sit there and worry about, you know, who you've been, your past of who you were when you was an alcoholic or drug dealer or whoever it may be, but it's always going to be there for sure. Yeah. And the opposition is going to bring it up when you're doing great or your light's shining inside of you. Yeah. And if you're still holding on to that, it's going to make you upset. But if you're at peace with it, it's going to make you stronger. Yeah. You know, it built you. It made you who you are today. even though it was bad or some of it was not, so great, and you're ashamed of what it was, but it was just surviving and trying to feed your addiction. Now you're feeding, your positive side, and now you want to kind of restore somewhat, what's going on in this life now.
Yeah.
So
I used to be really sensitive like that, especially when I started this channel. Like somebody would comment, like somebody, like haters.
Yeah.
And that I would fester on that one little comment would just ruin my whole day. But after a while, I just got to the point where, like, I just prayed about it, and it's like, okay, pray for that person. Maybe he was having a bad day, and he just happened to take it out on my whatever it is out there, my channel, my Facebook page. But I just pray for him.
yes.
Because maybe they had a bad day. That's what I do today. Like, because like what you're saying, I used to fester on just the negativity and just feed it. Then before you know it, I'm walking around with clenched fists, ready to pop on somebody. And,
Yes.
you don't have to live that way no more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's that past is always going to be there with you, and something's going to come up or someone's going to bring up the old you, but you just got to remember that you ain't there anymore. You're here in the present, and you're trying to better your community and the people around you. It's just sometimes I hate to say it, but we all have to go through our trials and tribulations to become this better version of us, because it's we have to learn from our mistakes. And some people are like, well, you don't know what I'm going through, and but eventually, like, well, just because we look okay right now, how we are, much older and calmer, patient, and just loving life, it's it's like we were kind of the opposite in our earlier years, so we kind of do know what you're going through, and we kind of know how it is to be hard-headed and not to accept change and not to want to change. You think you know it all and it's okay, you have it under control, but yeah, you might have it under control, but eventually you just might continue to abuse it, and you might end up with a DUI that saved your life, or a medical event, stuff like that, to help you live a better life and stop being sick. But some people just do it because they have family, loved ones. They're just exhausted because they tried it their way, and now they want to try. Hey, let's what can be worse? They're telling me come this way, and we'll help you get the help that you need, or continue living my life, just one hustle after the next, and finding a place to live and stay until we're on welcome there next. So it was definitely an eye opener.
What screwed me up was when I first came into recovery, like going to AA meetings and seeing, especially going to treatment, and there's these individuals in there. I'm gonna sober up for my kids. I'm sober up for my kids. And then when I went to sober living, us guys in the rooms, I was learning this weird technique, like you have to sober up for yourself. So that kind of like in early recovery, it screwed my mind. It's like, okay, I gotta, my kids ain't gonna keep me sober because I tried that before and it didn't work. A job didn't keep me sober, a woman didn't keep me sober. I gotta do it for myself. But now that I see more and more like people in recovery, they can actually sober up for their kids. They can actually get clean for their kids. It's just a well-rounded recovery, aspect of just a big positive thing that you can do. You can do it. That's what I think.
Yeah, and then whenever, like I said, it was with my recovery, it was just hit me hard, and I was like, all right, well, I sat in the hospital bed for 4 days, and they're looking over me, making sure I was okay.
Yeah.
And then after 4 days, like, all right, well, go ahead. You got to go. You got to start doing cardiac therapy, and hopefully your heart strengthens up by then. And if not, we'll see what your next plan of care is after that. It's like, all right, okay. And so I was frustrated. I was sad. I was angry. How could this happen? And I was praying and wondering why and asking answers. And it was just kind of my low. I thought I was low when I was in alcohol and messing up and not being there for my kids.
Yeah.
But that low was like, well, I'm not going to be here in the physical for my kids, and I can't be a better version. So I prayed, and I said, well, if you save me from this, God, I'll never turn my back on my kids, and I'll never turn my back on you, and I'll live to fully see out my purpose here in life. And when I was praying, a janitor come in, and he's like, wow, it's great to see people still praying, getting on their knees and praying.
You actually got
And
on your knees and prayed?
yes,
Hell yeah.
outside, yeah, because they told me not to get out of bed because I
Yeah.
might fall and, I'm on blood thinners and stuff. But I
Yeah.
just got out. I was like, I need to get out of bed. And I felt like, I was praying for a sign too. Just give me a sign, Father. And, the janitor happened his walk. I was like, what the heck? Why is the janitor coming in? I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's the sign I needed. Maybe that's God in the physical form coming and check on me.
Angel.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I got up and I stayed there, and then I just, hit the ground running, and I started doing cardiac therapy.
Nice.
And it was, I felt, between, hearing the ups and the not so ups, good downs, ups, downs, I thought about drinking again. I thought, like, all right, well, let's ride this out. Let's, head out in a bang, let's party it up. Then the other part's like, well, I can't give in. I had a promise I made, even if it's just for a week or two, that I get my affairs in order, make sure my kids are good. Whoever gets my kids when I pass, I'm going to make sure that they're all set and put everything in their names, and all that. But then week turned into a month,
Wow.
3 months, years, and now it's up to 7 years.
Yeah.
And no one's really ever out of the worry zone when it comes to chronic illnesses like this. But it's I'm at peace with if I go tomorrow, today, or whenever that day may be, not to be a downer or anything. I feel great, and I feel amazing that I got to spend all of these years being there for my community, for my children. I got my children back last year. My wife, or not my wife, excuse me, could have been. But the woman, the mother of my kids, let me take care of my older daughters now, and so they're at my house, and it's just been a great blessing to have them back. And letting them, experiencing these core memories with me, and seeing them grow, and see me being a positive role model. Because when I asked them, whenever we were talking, I said, do you remember Dad being a really bad alcoholic and drinking all the time? They're like, nope.
Really?
Just remember you like this. It's like, wow.
Nice.
It's like, well, thank God that you didn't see me in that time. I said, but yeah, I was drinking and drunk all the time, and I was pretty miserable, to be honest with you. And I wasn't a good person to your mom. I said, so I'm glad you didn't see me like that, but I want to let you know that Dad wasn't a good dad at the beginning of your lives, both of your lives. But now I can't say I can take that back, but I can do it better today. So, and then again, back to my recovery, and like you said, how the steps and the AA helped you, and how you had to get across that people, the opposition talking down. It was so whenever I was praying, I had opportunities to go to AA and other stuff like that, but it was for the first year in my life, and after I was saved and given a second chance at life, it was just me and God that whole year. And I would pray and I'd stay in prayer, and I'd read my Bible every single day, and I would stay in silence some days, and it would just eat at me. But then I was like, well, I'm alone for a reason. I'm with I'm with the one who could cure anything and everything and raise the dead. So I stayed silent, and everything that I answered, or everything that I asked for, and for how the bad person I was back then, and what's going on, and why am I given this challenge, and all of these whys. It's just it pretty basically boiled down to, well, you're chosen, and this is for you. Don't ask why. Don't feel pity or anything. Don't feel worried. You're chosen. You're gonna make it out. You're gonna show the world that God is alive, and God is performing miracles, and you're just one that's gonna help bring here people in dark places are gonna hear your story, and they're gonna one day come back to me. They're gonna hear my voice like you heard my voice. And it was interesting to hear that. And so when I first started that year, I wanted to reach out, I wanted to talk, I wanted to do all these things. And but I knew I had to stay in prayer, and I knew I had to stay reading my Bible. And so, like, why well, God, why was I this miserable alcoholic? Why was I a horrible father? And I kept going on to ask about myself, and how do I make that better? How do I cope? How do I try not to give in to temptation of drinking or smoking cigarettes or whatever it may be. And then everything was just like, well, here's what you do. And he get, and the knowledge and everything that I needed was straight from the source, and that was, God. And sometimes when I tell people this story, this it kind of makes me feel like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this guy's talking to something. Yes, I mean, if whatever you truly believe in, it could be, whatever. I respect all forms of, your higher powers, their higher powers, or whoever, mine. If you really sit, pray, and listen, you'll get your answers that you're searching for.
Yeah.
Or if you find someone who's really there to help, they'll lead you into a path. God also uses people to kind of get you onto your path if you're being a hardhead. And so that was my AA, was just talking to God, and it was a very, very great experience. And once I was able to finally be able to be of service to other people, it was kind of frustrating at first because you'd give them the knowledge, and then but yet they'll fall.
Okay.
And then so I reached back, so I look back to my own life. I'm like, man, I fell a bunch of times.
Yes.
I fell a lot. And I could feel what the other person that was kind of feeding into me, like my brother Callan, Big Cal, he was feeding into me positive, and he got sober before I did. And I could feel his, disappointment and stuff like that. But he always said, hey, it's okay, brother. It's okay.
Yeah.
Give it another try. Give it another try. And so it was, it was like, all right, well, I can't be like that. I need to, hey, it's okay if you fall, but hey, get back up.
Mm-hmm.
Get back up. Keep going. And then like, well, why? It's like, why do I keep falling? I was like, you know what? It's just not your time yet. It's just not your time yet. But you will know when that time is coming, because you'll leave that all behind. You say, no, not no more. And I'm going to continue walking. And so I tell people who reach out, I was like, well, it's all a part of your story. It's been written already in your story that this is a part of your life, and you're going to come out of it. Whether you believe it or not, you're going to come out of this, this part of your story. You're going to turn the page, and the author of your story is going to write a new season for you. You have to go through these storms and battle these beasts so that you come out victorious. And once you come out victorious, you're going to be able to help other people fight their, storms and their beasts.
Yeah.
And then eventually one day, if you're a child of God, or if you're you follow Tunkashila, the creator, or whoever it may be. You're a humble person. From the few spiritual ways that I know, you're humble. You're humbled. You gotta continue to be a humble person. But there's a saying, there's I'm saved, but I'm not a saint, or something like that. I'm saved, but I can't. It's kind of like like I'm rugged. It's saying like I'm rugged still. I'm just a little bit rugged. But being a beast, being that old beast, you have to slay the beast to become a better version of you. Well, there's going to be right down your path. You could be humble and at peace, and not a warrior. Or I wouldn't say not a warrior, but they like frail.
Yeah.
People think you're frail and you can't go to war, so to speak. But there's going to be another beast in front of you that you're going to have to go to war with. Maybe even bigger one than you overcame, and you're going to have to hold on to everything that you have in your past, all the knowledge and everything that you got from your brothers or sisters in recovery, and you're going to meet another beast, and you're going to have to hold on to everything and fight that next one that's bigger, so to speak. So it ain't, you can't be a frail or whatever. The old beast inside of you is going to have to warrior up and go after and take on that new beast. So it's okay to be where you're at now, but it all has purpose in your story.
Yeah.
Coming up to to when you're going to be the better version and help heal your communities. I know some people who were not the greatest community members, and now they're just they're a pillar in their communities now, and that's amazing to see that. But I know the past always, oh well, there used to be this person or that person in this gang or did that. Like, well, you have to make peace with their past and accept them for who they are today, because you know, they're an inspiration now.
Hell yeah.
And people are just
That's
sitting there
awesome.
talking, you know, and
Yeah.
you talking bad about them for who they were just goes to show you that, you know, whoever follows you, they're going to be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, just being judgmental, you know, of who they were.
Isn't that awesome? Like when you see that today,
Yes.
like how you see a person and you remember them the way they used to be, but now you see them and it's like, wow, man. Like you used to be the plug, you know what I mean? But now look at you, like you're passing that message of hope.
Yes.
See it all the time. It's awesome, man.
Definitely. That's the most beautiful thing. And what gets me going for now to keep going in the direction that I am with recovery and what I do now, it's I kind of do a lot for my kids to give them, you know, a nice core memory to do, like we do all these things that I wish I'd done as a kid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like save up and we go watch movies and do all of this fancy stuff, you know, to make these core memories. And so that's one of the things that keeps me going is finding, you know, trying to sit and plan things out for what we're going to do for the weekend, some
Nice.
positive stuff, and or sit at home and relax and watch movies at home.
Yeah.
And also, you know, being there for my family and loved ones, or just random people, random strangers who are fighting a battle that they're on, you know, and I try to assist them in their times and needs, reach out, you know, talk to them, or if they need financial needs, I'll try to round up some resources and, you know, and help them. Because knowing what it's like to be down there and, you know, oh, your bills are stacking up and all of this stuff, it's you know, not only do you have to worry about, you know, building yourself back up and, you know, gaining strength in my heart at the time, or still am, but at the time it's, you know, bills and stuff and stress is adding on to it. But, you know, you kind of want, you know, you're not going to probably fully take away everything, then, you know, fulfill all their needs and all that, but, you know, you'll take a little bit of that strain off, and then hopefully, you know, it starts like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Everybody else starts to get involved as well.
Lead by example.
And be the, you know, and where I work too, I work at Sitting Bull College, and just being there for the people that I serve there as well. It's, you know, talking to them, being there for them, maybe, you know, sharing a meal with them, just letting them know, you know, there's someone here to talk to. And there's a lot of people like that where I work. Sitting Bull College is a great place, a great college that I really like, and it is I can't put into words of how great it is. It feels like a family. It's just amazing, and how all of the community members, our majority students are community members, and then there's some that come from all the surrounding areas as well. But it's just like we get each other pretty much, and so it's just being of service. I know I hear that from a couple of AA meetings I've been to, and going to them, it's like, man, and I sit there and I'm like, okay, so I prayed and I asked for this knowledge from the Creator, and then He also puts it in books. Like, what the heck? I was like, that's exactly what you told me. I didn't read that though. So, you know, if you think the AA books or whatever books are out there on recovery are, you know, not gonna help or won't touch your soul, like I said, I prayed and asked for knowledge, and then I went to a few meetings, and it's like, man, that's exactly what you told me, and you know, and that same thing. And it blows my mind of how Standing Rock, and I know MHA is going full throttle, and a few other reservations near and far are really pushing the recovery. Their movement, I call it a movement because it's starting to touch more and more people, and it's growing. And there's meetings all around Standing Rock, helping North and South Side natives, our members, and, you know, bringing in other outside people too, just because they're just, you know, all the meetings and all of the trainings, and, you know, getting into treatment centers, you know, they help with that. It's just overall help to, you know, cure the community, I should say, from the sickness that, you know, alcohol and drugs brings. And I really love that. I really like that about Standing Rock, you know, and it's starting to blow up now to all over. So I always said that. I was like, Res Recovery. I was like, man, that's a great ring. It's a great ring to a Res Recovery. I was like, but I was like, well, it's gonna start on the res and it's gonna go worldwide. I was like, so hopefully that's, you know, I mean, not hopefully, but one day it's gonna happen. So I really appreciate the platform that you have, and
Yeah.
you know, you're getting awareness out there, and you're sharing our stories. And you know, if you ever anybody never needs any help, like again, my name's Patrick Tapio. You can find me on socials. Don't feel free to reach out. Um, I got the peer support training. I'm still waiting to get the certification. I just have to hand my paperwork in, mail it off. So once I get that, then they'll send me back the certification of being a North Dakota peer support specialist. But until I get that, you know, I'm still a person you could message or you could talk to if you ever need someone to talk to, for you know, for whatever reasons, or if you need a ride to go to a meeting somewheres, or taking in an event that, you know, Res Recovery's, you know, putting on, because they put on a bunch of great events, or they, you know,
Would you actually take people to Res Recovery
yeah,
events?
I got room for 3. I got,
Okay.
you know, I have my personal vehicle. So if anybody ever needed a ride and I'm free for that evening, you know, just let me know ahead of time. And yeah, we could haul three
Awesome.
extra people up there. Yeah, and if
So
it,
can I tag you in this, and I'll probably post it on my Recovery Warrior page on Facebook.
yeah, sure,
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah, because down here, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who need. I know there's always people who need rides to those events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're real nice. I love
Just
those
show
events.
up like 20 deep. You
Yeah.
know? That's cool. Heck yeah. So I had a question. Like, did you grow up with religion in your home? Like, how
So
did you find God? You know what I mean?
okay, so I grew up. When I first grew up, it was our Lakota ways, and I was blessed. I don't know how it happened, how I managed, but I grew up with my grandparents,
Okay.
and it was a very great experience. My grandfather was a World War II vet, and he, you know, he's just deaf and from the bombs and everything.
Yeah.
So he didn't really get to teach me. He's an old rancher veteran, and so he stayed at home mostly. But my grandmother, she was really into our native ways, so she
Yeah.
took me around to the powwows. I was, you know, a grass dancer, and we used to go to powwows and everything. And so when I slowly started becoming a man, almost, you know, to where I was 10, 11, you know, it's just taking me to the Neepies and
Yeah.
the sun dances and stuff like that. And so she was slowly getting me into the ceremonies. And she was, you know, she would tell me, not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
It's not your time yet. Wait till, you know, we have the time, and it's not yet. So eventually she ended up passing my grandfather, her husband passed away, and then she passed away. So I didn't get to experience our culture like that, our ceremonial things that we utilize to help, you know, pure ourselves and just, you know, follow the Creator.
Mm.
So after that, you know, I kind of lost hope. I stopped dancing and I kind of rebelled.
Did you start using drugs and drinking?
At 12, no,
No,
I
not
started.
yet.
I start 12. I started smoking marijuana. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I didn't start drinking until about 15, 16. But I didn't really like. I rather make mixes with, you know, liquor, and then the beer
Yeah.
wasn't kind of my thing at the time until I got, you know, more in my later in my teens. And then so before my grandmother passed away, she also started attending church
Okay.
before she left this life. And so I would, you know, I was stuck to my grandmother's hip no matter where she went.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'd go to the ceremonies and I'd go to church with her, and I'd ask her, you know, and I'd be kind of upset with her every now and then, like, waking me up on a Sunday, Grandma, no cartoons, you know.
Yeah.
And so I asked her, it's like, why are you upset? I said, well, Grandma, why do we come here when this God of ours takes our people, our loved ones from us, and, you know, we're here to mourn and cry and miss them. You know, why would they put us in, you know, why would they put you in that boarding school?
Yeah.
Why would they put you in that boarding school, and why would they do that to our people and kill and murder our people? And she just said, well, my boy, that was man, that wasn't God.
Mm.
And you could come to the Creator in our way or this way. It's just it helps me not be so lonely for Grandpa.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, and I think she was talking more about the being able to not discipleship. It's the when you go there to when you have everybody there, and it's the
Congregate. Like?
congregate. Yeah, you sit there with your peers, and you know, you
Yeah.
just
relate.
Yeah, everybody can relate of, you know, what's going on, and they just need prayers and uplifting.
Yes.
So it was a great. I mean, for her, it was just helped her. It not only did the NEPs and ceremonies help her, but also going to church as well.
Nice.
So after her passing, I was able to, you know, get in contact. Or my mother was, you know, started to go to church as well and find her peace with God. And then I went to a couple Bible summer camps and got to experience that. And then that's whenever 13, 14, you know, the gangs and the drugs and the alcohol started coming around. And, you know, my father, the whole time my father was in and out of prison.
Yeah.
Because he passed away late 2000s, and he was a Vietnam War veteran, 82nd paratrooper. And he had, well, from what I hear, he had a bunch of Purple Hearts, and he was a really great guy, really solid guy that wanted to stay in the war for his brothers and sisters. And so he come back, and from what I asked him and what he would share with me, he wouldn't share a lot because I'm pretty sure he's seen a lot and did a lot that he don't want to talk about. So with that, he started drinking a lot and getting into fights and stuff like that, and DUIs. He ended up going to prison for, get out from probation and then violate probation, beating up somebody or drinking, and it would take him back. So he was always in and out due to that. But I think that kind of, back then it wasn't okay for men to talk about their mental health or seek medical for their mental health. So he come from that era, old native cowboy, like, oh, I'm all right, I'll drink a beer, or, I'll go beat up somebody, So it was, that was tough on me because I had to grow up without a father, and then I was blessed to have him for a couple years before I graduated high school. And then he passed away 2010. And so then, I rebelled, but I was still in rebellion mode, losing my best friend in high school, and just finally I was like, well, I'm gonna get back into a higher power. So I started praying, and and when I was stuck in the alcoholism, and this has nothing to do with who's who or what way's the right way, but when I'd go and I'd be like, my soul and my spirit was hunger for a higher power to come into my life and to just be my peace and to guide me, to help guide me along this journey that I'm struggling by myself with alcohol with. So I prayed to God, I prayed to Joshua, and I'd be singing Lakota prayer songs and stuff like that, or going to church, and I'd be singing these prayer songs drunk, or asking about some ceremonies and things, and then they're like, no, you can't talk about that. No, you can't go there. You can't go to ceremony because you're hungover. And I was like, inside of me tells me I need to be there. And so I couldn't. So I was like, I respect that. I respect that I can't be there. I can't sing these songs. It's like, but it's telling me, it's coming from my heart. How come I can't go? Or how come I can't sing it? I need this. So I went to church, one Sunday morning, half shot, just feeling empty inside. So I went, and it accepted me. And so I went to the altar, and I got on my knees, and I cried, and I gave my life to God that time, and probably many more times after that. And it gave me a sense of peace because it accepted me for who I was, the congregation, everybody there. And I felt great. So fast forward to now, it was to whenever I was feeling sick, or whenever I was hanging over before my medical, so when I had my medical emergency, I'll try to wrap up here with my medical end of my medical, was I don't see my chronic heart stuff as I've been cursed, or for what I did or whatever it may be. I see it as a divine intervention, as a blessing. Because the whole time I was drinking and feeling empty, and every time I would be hanging over and sick, I'd get on my knees, I'd pray, I'd listen to some hymns, and I'd pray to Joshua and God, and I'd be like, man, take this from me, take this sickness, take this addiction away. I'm tired of it. Or take me home, God, or gosh, take me home. Hear me, hear my cries. I want I don't want to be here anymore. Take me, hear me, or, bring me death, or, give me a purpose. And I'd pray that every time I was hungover. And I'd sit there like, man, they forgot about me.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing it.
Still here.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. And then so that time, whenever I told earlier, when I was partying and stuff and trying to think I was having a good time, that morning I was like, okay, it's go time. He's like,
Yeah.
nope, I didn't forget about you. It's go time right now. Here's your prayer, that you wanted. And so, and then doing all that and the ride over there in the helicopter, I was at peace. I was like, all right, well, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But, being able to make it past everything and till now, it's like, or after, when I was praying for that whole year and a half, almost 2 years, I asked for understanding from a medical emergency. He's like, well, my son, you asked for it, and I gave you what you wanted. I brought you close to death, and you didn't want to live until I brought you there. So now, I gave you the second chance. Now do with it with what you will, but don't, or do with it with what you will, but don't look back and think that all of this was in vain or anything, that, you had to go through this. I had to bring you close to death to show you that you have something to live for. If you are struggling today, that is okay. Just reach out to anybody. If there's any phones or any phone numbers or flyers listed up around the communities, wherever you are, here or all across the U.S., just look for some lines, some phone numbers, some flyers for NAAA, the 24/7 988 number, to reach out for help. Do that. There's you tried it your way. Feel free to try it this other way in recovery. It doesn't hurt. You don't lose nothing. And there's a lot to gain from it though. You don't lose anything, but there's a lot to gain to start recovery. You just gotta take that first step, accept it, and go forward. And with that, again, my name's Patrick Tapio. I want to thank Brother Jay Riz for giving me this opportunity to be on his page and to spread my story to everybody out there. Thank you guys, and have a good day.
Awesome. So yeah, he said, my name is Jay Riz. If you've been watching this long, I am an addict, alcoholic in recovery. If you want to see more, hit that like, and if you definitely want to see more, hit that subscribe. And thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one, but don't forget to check Pat Tapio on Facebook. I'm gonna tag him in this so you guys can look him up. Reach out, he'll help you. Good dude.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, check me out, Recovery Warrior, on Facebook too, and stay tuned for the next one. All right, with that, we will pass.
Pass.
Love you. But